Tim reported from 40 countries and covered the events of 12 wars. Please join me in welcoming Tim.
This is one of the key messages. I was saying to one of the classes this afternoon, everything is connected, and read across everything. Don't just stick to your subject. If you're into maths, read Orwell, because it'll help you be a better read person and you'll understand the world better in order to apply your mathematical ability. If you're a scientist, if you're a geographer, it doesn't matter what, read right across, left and right, up and down, stuff you don't agree with, and please watch the news. I know some of you don't like the mainstream media, the MSM, as I believe it's called, but I am pretty confident after spending so long in it that it is a damn sight more reliable than much of what else is on offer. It is not without its flaws. And remember that everything is connected. And that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try and connect the role of geography in current affairs and history. And to say how when you see one thing happening there, there's often something else that's related to it there. And that this is the overlooked determining factor of history. It's not the only one. I'm not saying it's determinist. I'm not saying nothing else matters. It's the one that we don't think about enough. Each dot is 17 people, which we're going to see, and they're refugees, and they are fleeing terrible, terrible situations. And you'll see them mostly going in one direction, and I don't blame them, and I think we should help them as much as we possibly can. How we help them is open for discussion, but I definitely think we have a moral duty. And more than a moral duty, we have a moral duty to our own countries to get this right and to help them in the right ways. Because if we get it wrong, I think we're all going to be screwed. So there's a timeline here. I'll look for a couple of things. For example, 2011, well, one of the first things you'll see is up in Russia, the Russian Federation, people fleeing, and that's when the Caucasus went up. And then later on in 2011, you'll see Syria pretty much explode. But then also look to Ukraine in 2011, when the Ukrainian crisis starts, because this is the effect of war. Remember, each one is 17 people. There goes Russia. It's south to north. 1.2 billion Africans at the moment. In 50 years, 2.2 billion. That's an extra billion. They're not all going to stay there. Where are we getting to? Nearly 2011 now. Keep your eye on the Ukraine. You can see what's happening in Colombia, in Latin America, there. It dies down. I don't know what happened in China there, I really ought to. As you can see, it's the Middle East that is the biggest problem at the moment. There goes Syria again when it really exploded, and you're about to see, I think, Ukraine should, where is it? I mean, there it is, there's Ukraine. And look which way they're going. The Russians took 400,000 refugees. Every one of those is a story. It's pretty sad, that. And it's not stopping. I don't think it's peaked. It ebbs and flows according to the fighting. The Ukrainian situation, for example, the Russians have frozen it. It's called a frozen conflict. You can heat it up whenever you want. It's amazing what a few shells will do to heat up a situation. So they heat that up when they want to say, you want our help with this? You help us with that. You want our help in Syria? Let's talk about sanctions on Ukraine. Everything is connected. So anyway, the Americans have now got the whole lot. And by the way, this here has got more flat waterway, navigable waterway, than inland, flat navigable waterway, than the rest of the world put together. So it's flat land and it's farmland. Fantastic. You can grow all your crops, get them down the river and get them out to the port and ship them out. It is a brilliant piece of real estate. Now, Guns, Germs and Steel was a fantastic book by Jared Diamond, Guns, Germs and Steel. And he pointed out the blindingly obvious. You've got rivers like that, good for trade. The Rhone, the Rhine, hundreds of miles of flat river, build up cities along, grow crops, trade with each other, grow. Africa, the vast majority of rivers are steep. grow your crops, put them on your boat, go down the river, fall over a waterfall. Doesn't work. That's why they weren't connected to each other as much, which harms development. Second problem, the Sahel and the Sahara, nobody could get through it, 2,000 miles without water. So all the ideas that were bubbling around in Africa, there was the Mali kingdom, there was the great Zimbabwe kingdom, there was the city kingdom in Nigeria in 1400, that when the Portuguese showed up, they were stunned. There was a walled city in Africa, bigger than Lisbon. They had no idea it was there. But these places couldn't connect with each other, and it was very hard for them to get their ideas moving around. Ditto, all the ideas up top were moving east to west and west to east. China, through Arabia, through Europe, backwards and forwards. It was much harder for north and south to penetrate. Americans don't have that problem. Very quickly move across. If you want to annoy an American, tell them they come from a country of stolen land, built by stolen labor. Really annoys them. But that was then and this is now, and I think it's worth recognizing it and trying to move on as much as we can. Then they get to the coast, and at that point they become the world's first two ocean power. Hugely, hugely important. They can project power that way and that way. No one's going to come and get them there. Well, you've got 3,000 miles before you get to an enemy there, 3,000 miles before you get to an enemy there, and it's only called Iceland anyway. And after that, it's just the Brits that you're now friends with.